Hi everyone, hope you enjoyed that. My name's Lesley O'Toole. I'm a reporter for Backstage Magazine and assorted magazines and newspapers in the United Kingdom. I'm delighted to announce, what order shall we do? We'll do the director first. Peter Facinelli, you know him very well, as a doctor from Twilight and Nurse Jackie and many other things. And then we have our leading lady and writer and producer, Jordan Hinson. And then, of course, fabulous Harry, Mr. Milo Gibson. You may have seen him in Hacksaw Ridge. You may have seen both of these gentlemen in Gangsterland. And
First order of business, just want to make sure everyone's SAG dues are all paid up.
Don't bring that up.
Has anyone not paid their SAG dues? Raise their hand.
I've been meaning to tell you, but
So did the pair of you meet on Gangsterland, or did you know each other prior to that film?
No, we actually met on this film. This was shot
you did it
before
before.
Gangsterland.
Wow. Yep.
I met these two in a cafe. And then a day later, we started working together.
That's very true. Yeah.
Did I meet you alone first, or did you meet the three of us and all of us together?
No, I
Three
read
of
the
us
script,
met.
and then
Yeah.
they were like, "Come meet Peter and Jordan, who wrote it." And I was like, "Okay,
I'm
cool."
so forgettable.
Studio City, Toluca Lake, here I come.
So Jordan, how did you meet Peter? How did the two of you get this project together?
Actually, I had written this and I had a different director and a different lead actor.
Ah.
And
Scandal.
both kind of, yeah, they didn't know that until just now. They both kind of fell through. Luckily.
Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Who was the other one? Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey. And so my friend Lily, who's in the movie,
Yep.
Lillian Harrison.
Yeah,
Woohoo.
I had cast her as a role in it already, and she had sort of right when the director fell through, she had been like, "Hey, Peter read it." And they're together. If I didn't put that two and two together, he's like, "Peter read it, and he's kind of like interested in directing it." And I was like, "That's so weird. I'm into it." And I don't know, it's sort of a beautiful serendipitous thing.
So then I had to meet with the producers and Jordan and then plead my case. And luckily they allowed me to come on board, and I'm very grateful.
Well, what did you say to get the job?
I said I work really cheap. Very cheap. And I'm trying to make the best film I can with like 7 days left to shoot. But, for me, honestly, like, I knew it was a very delicate tone because it deals seriously with suicide, and suicide prevention. So I think it was already there in the script where, there's comedy and there's drama, but what you find between these two characters is Daisy really finds worth and hope in Milo's character, and Milo, who's very selfish in the beginning, ends up being saved as well. He ends up being less selfish and falling in love. So I really liked that combination, and I wanted to make sure that it was dealt with carefully so that it wasn't like we were trying to make fun of or, suicide or in that sense.
So does this predate 13 Reasons Why then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you write this before?
Yeah,
13 Reasons
I
Why?
did.
I've never seen that show,
Yeah,
but I've heard
this
about
was
it.
written, and I think
I
we started
haven't-
production before
I
that.
haven't seen it either, but my son is 14, and he said he and all his friends agreed with the criticism of that show, that it seems to glamorize suicide
Well,
somewhat.
that's exactly what I didn't want to do in writing it. Like, I've mentioned this before, but I struggled growing up a ton with anxiety and depression, and I have family members who have gone through that very same thing. And, I have friends who have taken their lives. And so
Me too.
handling it was a very delicate thing for me in the writing process, because as much as I do want to make a comedy and bring light to a dark situation, it's still something that young people my age are going through. And so I wanted Daisy to be very real, and that's sort of where I tried to pull from personal experience.
I think the fact that he like keeps chasing her and it doesn't go, or it doesn't stop, doesn't leave her alone. That's something that I think that we do in society. When we see somebody going through something, we decide not to acknowledge it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a powerful part in the film where he follows her around like a puppy dog, like walking down the stairs, And I
One
think
of the first rules of suicide prevention is don't leave the person alone. And you unknowingly do that just out of curiosity and intrigue for her character, because you love life, and you're like happy-go-lucky, and everything is wonderful, and you find all these toys in the house, and you want to play with them, and she has all these toys in the house and doesn't even see them,
Yeah.
Well, they're not hers anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They've already seen it. No spoilers.
But they were there, and she just decided that there's an interesting Instagram, like they have like little pictures of things, and there's a woman who's like on one side of the bus, like looking out at all these flowers. Yeah, it's like a meme. That's what they call them these days.
Yes.
Meme.
Yes.
I'm showing my age. There's this new thing called Instagram.
Yep.
You guys have heard of it? And so there's one person who's like looking out at this side of the window, and they're looking at all these flowers, and the other person looking out this side of the window and looking at like, the mountainside, and they're just kind of grumpy. And it's like her character doesn't see the things that Milo sees. So I like that he brings that out of her. Anyway.
I happen to think
tell
the
you what else I
mountains
like
are
about this movie.
beautiful.
Just speaking of the toys, as you mentioned it, how much fun were those shots to do, involving all the toys in the house?
I got
that we
pretty
see?
good at the what is that thing called?
Not
Hoverboard.
that good,
Hover
huh?
thingy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that hover
Hoverboard.
thing, yeah.
I got pretty
Yeah,
good
he
at
had
that.
never been on the hoverboard
They, in
before.
fact, they like wanted to get me insured
You
on that.
can't pay
at
me
one point.
money to get on that.
I
thing.
know. When I pick her up in like that little montage part, she was screaming.
It
murder.
was real.
Yeah, she did not want to get on that.
I was
thing.
given feet for a reason,
Actors are so
and
difficult.
not wheels.
Yeah. So, Jordan, have you always had a gift for writing? Because your dialogue is fantastic.
Thank
I
you.
I was writing down, day 2 of Coachella disheveled. I've never been, but it's just brilliant.
I've been writing since I was a kid, and I used to write short stories, and then I wrote my first, I think, full-length screenplay when I was 12 or 13. Yeah, I've always been
Not much of an
first one-
overachiever then.
It's the first one you got produced, right?
This is the first one I have had produced,
Yep.
yes. But I've been writing. I mean, if you look at my final draft backlog, it's just like, like movies. But this is the first one I fell in love with and I actually wanted to make. Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting.
And I find dialogue for me is where I really thrive. Like, I can do some stage direction, but like as an actor and I write dialogue.
Actors don't read the stage directions anyway.
What stage direction?
Where's my lines? Where's my lines? There's my lines.
Yeah. So.
There was a lot of firsts in this movie. It was my first directorial debut.
Yep.
Milo's first leading
Yep.
man role.
Yep.
I thought you were gonna say something else.
It
Okay.
was
It's okay. No.
It was his first sex scene too.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
It wasn't his first time having
Poor
sex.
Milo.
It was his first sex scene.
And he had 2 of them, which
Unheard of.
yeah.
Which is weird because I didn't write one of those in the script.
No, you didn't.
No, you.
I didn't
not.
have one sex scene in that script.
Yeah.
No, you know what? No, I really, when I read the script, I really fell in love with the whole entire story because it's something new and it's not a rewrite or it's not a remake of something and it's not. I've never heard of anything like this before, so I loved it. And it's hard because I was doing a job recently and the director asked me to rewrite a scene with him, and it was one of the most hardest things for me to do. I was like, this isn't my job.
Yep.
But it's really hard to get down and actually have it make sense. So I commend you on that because it was
Thank you.
amazing.
You gotta have a real weird brain to just sit down in your room by yourself and
Yeah.
just like have conversations,
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
I'm sure all these people have done it. right?
Yeah.
But
I'm
Milo,
sure a bunch of them
did
have.
Harry immediately speak to you? Because he's a very complex character. Is it that he's just unlikable in the beginning, or is he clueless, or what grabbed you about him?
When I read it, I could see that he had a sweet side to him, but you don't see it.
Mhm.
And it, people ask me, do I see myself in Harry? But maybe a little bit. Besides robbing people and stuff like that. But no, it was for some reason it came really, really like natural to me. Like especially when we sat down and started talking about the character and stuff like that, it just came like really natural and it just seemed right. And I don't know if I have an answer for that.
I see a little bit of Harry in you, and it has to do with like the goofy, playful kind of side. And but Milo does get very like introspective and serious when he needs to,
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of. I'll answer it for you. I think that I've seen some.
I hate talking about myself.
You're in the wrong business
There's
then.
a line where he says,
I'm in the right business. I'm not going to talk about myself. Talk about everyone someone else. No.
There's a line where you say, I just don't understand why anyone would want to kill themselves. And I think, to me, that always defined your character, because you have this, like, jovial, your character has this jovial, like, love for life. You know what I mean? Like, when he robs the house and he almost gets caught, it's like getting off a ride at Disneyland,
such
you
a
know,
rush.
for him. And
Yes.
it's such a rush. And, like, you know, every turn in the movie, and he's just like, even when his girlfriend dumps him, he's just like, he's like, you know, it's like a duck that
nothing
water
phases
just,
him.
you know, rolls off
Water
its,
off a duck's back.
yeah, water off a duck's back, and he doesn't take anything so seriously, which is kind of a fault, you know, to a fault he doesn't take it so seriously. But I think, you know, when he meets Daisy and he doesn't understand it, and then I think she starts to see this love for life within him, and it starts to open her up, and I always like that. Anyway,
Well, it's the small things in life that make you happy, right? Like salt.
Absolutely.
like
Yep.
No, but
I
no,
didn't
but no,
understand
no.
the salt
In
thing.
all seriousness, it's the small things that, you know, and when you start, you know, looking at everything on a grand scheme of things, and you compile everything that stresses you out together, and all the things that are bad in your life, everything becomes really shitty and sucks. But when you start separating things and what makes you happy, and what, you know, that might be able to fix things or make you happier.
Yep. So obviously picking your first lead role is critical. I mean, had you turned down other things? Were you waiting for something? I mean, obviously Harry is a great character arc. I mean, there's huge development for
I
you
didn't
there in
pick it;
that
they picked
role.
me.
Yeah. Yes, but you said
No,
yes.
but you said yes, so you did pick it.
Yes, I said yes because I liked the script so much, and because, like I said before, it was something new, and it wasn't something, you know, that someone's done before. That, and I had just started out, and, you know, it's a trial and error type of thing, you know, and yeah, I mean, I'm glad I said yes, because we had so much fun, you know, the whole cast and the crew. We were all like this huge family, and everything was like, you know, 14 days. Seems like a very short time, but we accomplished a lot in 14 days. I've been on other things that have given a lot more time, and you haven't accomplished anything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yes.
so yeah.
Yeah. And how did your personal relationship parallel the relationship in the film? Because obviously the pair of you get very, you know, intimate emotionally and physically very fast. How was it working together? I mean, you
We
had
don't
great
hate
chemistry.
each other. Yeah. I mean, I think from like the moment we met, we just kind of clicked, and we had a rapport, and it was a easy back and forth. And then we sort of brought that into the characters, and I don't know, I guess it just rubbed off.
Stop looking at me like that. No, she's right. No, she's right. No, we instantly, I think we clicked, and there was something there, you know, friendship-wise and stuff like that. And yeah, we get along really, really well, and I think that made everything so much more easier in every aspect.
Yeah. And what did you put them through to make sure they did have some chemistry?
them take cat classes, a lot of movement classes. No, I mean, honestly,
Cat classes.
I mean, did you
would
see
take
it
a
right
cat
away?
class.
or-
listen, when I came on board, I had like 8 days to film.
That's insane.
The next day after I came on board, I had a lead and he fell out. So like the movie kept almost falling apart at every
Yeah.
corner. Then I gave it to a couple of friends that were good names, and the day after I had champagne problems because all of them said yes, and I had asked my management had been asking me to meet with Milo as well, but out of the three of them, the other two, and I'm not going to mention their names, but they were more well known. But I feel like they had played the role already, and I had seen that.
And they were older, because I
and they were- and they
originally
were
wrote
older.
Harry as older than me. He was this like guy who'd been doing it forever. But Milo, I never even really pictured, and I don't know if you did, but I never pictured like a younger guy my age. But it was an easier sort of chemistry, I think, in the long run.
Peter didn't do anything. I think we already. No,
like
not
that.
like that. No. Sorry. I'm going
Not
back.
doing anything right
going,
now,
I'm
just-
going back to. He didn't. I don't think he needed to do anything for us to have like a friendship
Yeah.
and for us to have that chemistry hit because it was already there. So that took a lot of weight off his shoulders. It wasn't like
I'm still
prying.
uncomfortable, but it's okay. No, I'll tell you what I did do, honestly. So I had once I said yes, I love Milo for the role, and he said yes. I was very thankful for that. I knew I had such limited time, and there's only several locations, so I took them to the locations, and we kind of blocked out the scenes, because for me, there's so much storytelling in blocking. And I always love movement and in film, and even like if you when I think of like a James Dean, everyone's like, oh, he's such a great actor, but I don't look at him and think he's a great actor. Like there's moments where I'm like, oh, you know, that were false. But what was really intriguing about James Dean is he studied ballet and his movement. If you go back and watch his scenes, his choices of movement in scenes were so intriguing and interesting to me, and I was always interested in that. So I was like, okay, so since it's like a play, we'll try to block out as many scenes as we can, because then for me as a director, like I could go home at night and know where the actors are going to be vicinity-wise and what shots I want to get. And I always love directors that come prepared. You know, you got to have a game plan of some sorts, because I've worked with directors that come in, they're like, okay, you sit there. No, you sit there. No, you sit there. And then it just wastes so much time. But if you have a director who's like, I want you here, and then if the actors are like, well, I feel like I should be standing, then you adjust. But you got to have some sort of game plan. And so
especially when we have 14 days to shoot.
Because we didn't have time for overtime, you know. So then knowing the blocking helped me a lot.
Yeah. So what was the biggest logistical nightmare given the brevity of the shoot?
Listen, there was no dire moments. The first day of shooting was probably the hardest. We had 8 pages, and it was the big scene.
The
where,
West Hollywood house.
Yeah, the house where he
robbery.
gets caught by the Frenchman, and there was a lot of movement and a lot of.
Yeah, what's his name?
Joaquin.
Javier.
Joaquin de
Phoenix.
Almeida.
Thank you.
He dented my
It was,
car.
Joaquin Phoenix.
That was my truck in the film, and he kicked it.
It was already dented.
It was like
It
a
was
little bit of a
already
dent,
dented.
and then I was like, yeah, go ahead. You can kind of like.
Milo
nudge it.
has
He
a
just comes
lawsuit.
in.
He's still trying to get money from
He's
it.
like,
He's a method actor.
Yeah.
Give him some props. You know.
Yep.
He's knocked out a few teeth, that actor, too. He's good. He's good. Well, listen, you were beating the crap out of him for like hours with a jug.
Yeah,
It was empty.
exactly. Your truck deserved it.
Empty water jug.
So that day was hard, and then every other day I was like, okay, I had this inner AD in my head that was like, I need to be done by this by lunch and this by this. So I was not always the fun guy. I'd be like, come on, we gotta stop fooling around, guys, because we gotta get this, you know, because I needed to get certain pieces to put the movie together. I had to keep the day going quick. Yeah. I got a little manic sometimes. But
Yeah.
And how long ago did you initially think of directing? You've directed shorts before, but this is your first feature. I mean, have you been planning the move for a long time? You've got your own production company.
Look, film and television's it's a director's medium. You know, stage work is an actor's medium. So if you go on stage, it's you. No matter what the director tells you to do, you're out there, and the audience walks away with your performance. But film and television, you know, you give your performance over to the director, and then they cut it together, and you hope for the best. And I've always been intrigued by that medium of storytelling, because as an actor, I only tell the story through one character. But as a director, you're telling the story through the whole thing. And so for years, I've wanted to direct, but it's not easy to get somebody comfortable enough to say, hey, you can have all this money and, you know, shoot a full-length feature, even if you've written it. You know, I've written movies that got produced, and I've had to hire other directors because I just wasn't, you know, established yet. So I was trying to do shorts here and there, but I was also acting, so I was pulling my focus that way. And this one, when it fell in my lap, I was like, this was such a great opportunity. I wanted to do it. I jumped at the opportunity.
You are a father of 3 daughters. I mean, you know, did that play into it at all? You know, wanting to have something positive out there?
You mean
that they
juggling?
might-
You mean juggling lots of
Yes.
stuff?
No, but I mean, it's a serious issue.
I mean,
this
for me, it was always a
teenagers.
love story at
Yep.
heart. You
Yes.
know? And then the overall theme of like decision making actually came in through post. We kind of built that, but I just thought I wanted these two when I read it, when I wasn't even involved in it, that I was rooting for them on the page, and I liked that, and it kind of reminded me of like a When Harry Met Sally type of
Yes.
movie where they. Or Lauren Bacall and Bogey, where they're bickering and bickering, but there's so much love there that you root for them anyway.
Yep. And you mentioned Woody Allen as being inspirational on the banter front. Great banter in this movie. Who else? What other directors did you look at?
When I was doing, I watched Cassavetes' stuff.
Yep.
Only because I love his simplicity, and I'm not a big fan of master over-overs. So there were times where I just wanted to try to keep them in the bathroom shot, just in one frame, or a lot of shots where they kind of walk naturally into an over, or having a actor's face here and somebody else behind them. I like that kind of stuff where you could see things going on in the frame, not just close-ups,
Yep.
So I watched Cassavetes' stuff just because of the simplicity, and also I didn't have a lot of toys to play with.
Yep.
We had we shot on an Alexis. Alexis. I get so confused because I have a friend Alexis, and I have an Alexa, Alexis Red. Anyway, that's
Your
the
friend
DP's
is named
problem.
Alexis
Yeah.
Red?
Yes.
That doesn't seem right. Seems like a bold-faced lie.
So we didn't have a lot of toys. So for me, I just wanted to not get too fancy with the directing and just kind of be able to have the actors tell the story in the frame. So I kept camera movement when I could. When there was long pieces of dialogue, there was one really long piece. And we started out there, and then she went to the mailbox, and then she dropped the mail, and then they came back. And that was kind of fun to shoot because we did that with Steadicam, and we were able to follow the actors out. And we had this split wall, and I was like, it'd be really fun if one was on one side and one was on the other. And they kind of got, and he's just following her around, won't leave her alone,
Yep.
So that was kind of a fun shot.
So Milo, there's no disguising who your father is. Obviously, you are the son of Mel, and
I thought you were talking about my
I
dad,
know.
Peter Facinelli Sr. No?
And you've said that you have thought about acting for a long time, but you actually worked as an electrician, and you fooled around with your brother, who's now directing. But
Fooled around making films. Right?
yeah, yes, fooled around. Yes, sorry, fooled around
Getting it straight, we're filming
acting-wise.
this, yeah.
And you said that you then went to an acting class and it just felt like you were home. Can you talk about that moment when you just realized it's in my blood? I've obviously got a penchant for it, and I'm going to do it.
Yeah, it wasn't ever pushed, and it wasn't ever said you couldn't do it. My family wanted me to, or my parents wanted us to do whatever we wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't feel pressured like we had to go into acting or we had to go do this. So I did whatever made me interested. I'm already talking loud enough, right?
Nope.
I was doing whatever made me, whatever I was interested in, right? So one day I was like, well, what's behind that wall? What makes that light turn on? And that's what made me interested in doing, being an electrician. And then, when we were kids, we used to make, home films and stuff like that and fool around. And my brother now is a director, so.
You made home films fooling around with your brother.
Yes.
Yes.
Just wanted to
He
get that on
said
tape. You guys
it.
got that?
Clarify on the fooling around.
At Milo Gibson.
Yes.
And
Yeah. Also,
Tag him.
which brother is it? Because you do have a few.
his name is
You
Louis.
want to tag him
Right,
too,
okay.
Louis?
His
Yes.
name is Louis.
Yep.
He's the one above me, but there's a lot of us.
Right.
Louis was
And-
above him. Okay, we got
and-
this.
And it was always something that was kind of in the back of my mind, and I was like, nah, I don't know, should I do it? Should I not do it? Is it weird if I do it? Blah 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 blah. And then one day I was like, you know what? Fuck it. It's something that I have a passion for, or I thought I did, and it's something that I do have a passion for, and I love doing it, and it gives me a feeling that doing electrician work didn't give me. And
He did have a few bulbs go out, and he was
Oh,
a pro at changing those bulbs.
Fantastic.
But I will say this.
Peter, I can come over and change your bulbs for you. Well,
I
Make sure
think
you
this
tag me at
conversation
Peter
is going
Facinelli.
in the wrong direction.
where is this going?
I don't know. I'll tell you this about Milo, and in all seriousness, because we did a press this afternoon, and he was saying how his dad instilled hard work ethics in him. And all day long I saw that. He came totally prepared every single day, took it very seriously, knew his lines, worked really hard, and just gave it everything he had. And that to me was so appreciative because sometimes people come and they have the job and they're just like one of my first films. Sorry, I'm digressing, but
I just saw
there's
the
a
light
point.
bulb go off in here.
So the director, and he never knew his lines, and the director said, Harvey, I won't say his last name. He said, Harvey, why don't Keitel? No, it wasn't Harvey Keitel. There's not many Harveys, but This guy probably doesn't
All
work
right,
anymore.
as long as we keep
So
saying
he's like,
Harvey, everyone's gonna start going, oh, what last name? Oh, that
so
one.
true.
There's that one.
Can we just?
Ooh, it's him.
Can we erase that, you guys? All right. So he said, Harvey, why don't you know your lines, man? And he goes, because I had auditions. I'm really busy. He's like,
Wow.
he goes, I'm busy too, trying to make a movie. Yeah. So like, I'm so appreciative that he like came and he was like, he gave it his all every day.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic, Milo. Really beautiful job, both of you. And I mean, I want my son to watch it. I think that all teenagers should see this film.
I agree. I think that you make a subject taboo, people are gonna be more prone to fall into it. But if you're able to talk about it and maybe watch a movie, maybe one person just finds something similar with Daisy and it clicks, and then I'll feel better.
It's a good conversation starter because suicide is a very heavy subject matter. So to have a film that you can kind of, follow the love story and fall in love with these characters and still be able to like talk about suicide and how she found worth in a stranger and how she found hope, and how he changed. I think it's a good conversation starter for that. It's not going to change mental illness in any way, and it's not meant to. But it is a movie, and I had somebody who actually, dealt with like depression a lot, and he interviewed me. And he said, I watched this film, and I was having a really bad day, and it gave me some hope, and it gave me some, So hopefully it does that. But at the bigger picture is it's a love story, and I hope that people walk away like smiling and happy.
Absolutely. And I love that bit at the end where you've got the end, the beginning. This is just beautiful. But that scene where we first meet you when you're in the bath and you're having that conversation, that sort of flippancy, I think it is so deep and moving because there's that famous line, suicide's a permanent end to a temporary problem.
Right.
And I just think that's it. I mean, do people just not realize?
That's exactly
you're so casual.
And also, it's like, how
waiting.
long has this girl been so alone that she's having this conversation almost with herself?
Yeah.
I mean, his presence there doesn't even affect her. And it's like,
No.
how long has she been in that mindset? And it just took a little bit of, courage to kind of break out of that.
Yes, absolutely. AJ had a question for all of you. Is there anything?
Hi, AJ.
Is there anything that any of you would have done differently if you were able to go back now?
Filmmaking process?
Yes.
Recast. New director. Flip the script. Milo directs. Peter's in it. I don't know. No, I don't think so. I feel like it all kind of worked out in this strange way. I mean, it was falling apart. I mean, our other lead actor, he booked something else, and and it was just like sort of crumbling. And at the very last second, sort of all the stars aligned. I don't feel like I would change much.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I would change. I think I'm very fortunate that a lot of times your first movie, people take it away from you, or the producers on this were so collaborative. We worked really hard, and Jordan too. Like we worked really hard, kind of together, and it was. For me, filmmaking is such a collaborative process because one person doesn't make the film. It's a real family, and that experience I wouldn't change it. I hope that the audiences like it because, when you're an actor, you sit there and you're like, oh God, I hope people like my performance. When you're a director, I'm like, I take responsibility for everyone's performance. So if you don't like the film, throw tomatoes at me.
Yeah, not me.
Yeah.
I did what he told me to do.
Yeah.
So, but look, it's a cute story that hopefully makes you feel good.
Yeah. Were you under any pressure to also star in it? Yep.
Oh, they didn't want me. I was like,
I
I remember Jordan in the beginning. I was like, hey, before I was even director, I was like, hey, can I play lead? She was like, you're too old.
I was like, not a fan of
Plus,
vampires.
you're dating my
Not a fan.
friend, which is weird.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Not
like.
a fan of
that's just
vampires.
weird.
I don't like them.
So I was like, all right.
Yeah.
No, it was sort of like, I also felt for him, if it was his first directing job, he shouldn't have to,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be, God, the juggling gives me anxiety just thinking about
No,
it.
I was happy to step back, honestly, and just focus on directing because I've written and produced and starred and stuff. Sometimes you want to be able to like give jobs to other people and like just have an opportunity. I loved being able to give Milo an opportunity and watch him knock it out of the ballpark.
Yep.
The next film I direct, I'll probably put myself in a smaller role because they looked like they were having so much fun on the other side of the camera. I was like, oh, man.
You would stand by the camera like this the whole time.
Like the cat in the window, just like
Yep.
everybody's playing outside.
He jumped on the other side quite a bit.
Yeah, he did. He did. He got confused
Peter,
sometimes.
get behind the camera.
We had fun.
Having worked with the pair of them, as writer, producer, director, does that make you want to get more involved in the future? Are you now thinking about, other things besides acting and being an electrician?
As of right now, no. But it's always something that hey, look at that, here I am. It's always something that I always like to watch. I think I'm always definitely interested in the process of directing, producing, all that type of stuff, like the DOP. All those people, I like to watch all that stuff because I find it very interesting and I do like to learn. But as of right now, no.
I love the honesty, man.
I'm still no. I'm
Sure.
I'm still learning. I'm still watching.
Absolutely.
So I'm not gonna go. Ahead. I'm not gonna get ahead of myself.
Yeah. And is directing in your future, Jordan?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I didn't have such a big part in this, it would have been something on my mind. Don't get upset. But the next one, I mean, that's definitely something I've given a lot of thought to. And I think that, like, obviously being a female, we don't have a lot of directors. And I think it's really important for us to share our visions if we can. So, yeah, that's definitely in my near future.
No, I wouldn't have changed anything. No, I had something. Now it's gone. No, working with these two was where I am exhausted. Working with these two was like so awesome, and the whole cast. I mean, and the whole crew and everyone. It was literally like
and
a
Cecile
family.
and Martine, who both were
Which
producers
is
on
there
it.
and there.
We had it was me and Cecile and Martine producing it, so it's 3 female producers, which is very,
it's fantastic.
very rare.
Yep.
And
we all
it
still
was
get
good.
along, which is really
even
rare
better.
because
We like
sometimes
each
it's like
other.
taking a road trip
Yes.
together.
Yeah.
We are? I wasn't
It's like
invited.
it's like taking a
Oh.
road trip together
Oh,
where you get
okay.
like that's what the test of like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
relationship. They
Yep.
say take a road trip, and this is like it was like taking a road trip.
Yes.
that's where my relationship stops with you two is road trip.
That's why you weren't in the group text.
Kidding.
So would you let us know what else you've all got coming up?
Breaking and
Mine-
exiting
mine is-
2.
Yeah. Milo, what's next for you?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
we're like an old fogey's home.
Yeah.
Is that what's going on? Yeah. Okay. I do. Yeah, I do. I do have some stuff going on. Hold on, I'm trying to think.
You're
You've
doing a
worked
movie
a
with
bunch.
Yeah,
Rod.
sorry, I do. Sorry.
We know
He's
more
doing
than
a
he does.
huge movie.
did.
by the
I
way.
did.
A huge movie.
I did a World War II film called
Yep.
Hurricane about fighter pilots that's coming out in
Did you have to wear the flappy hats? Those are
September.
so cool.
I sure did.
Like Snoopy with the goggles.
Are you a
did.
fighter pilot in it?
Yes, I do go up a few times, but it's a true story about when Poland was invaded by Germany and they basically got overrun in like 2 weeks. And so the RAF was like, "Hey, come on over and fight with us." And so they did, and then they became like they're called the 303 Squadron. They became like one of the best like fighter
Did you
squadron.
actually get in the
out there.
plane and like have to do
No,
like
they
this?
wouldn't let me. There
Yeah.
wasn't enough.
wonder
Budget
Probably
why.
wasn't
because
enough.
Milo would be like,
yeah.
and they'd be like, Milo, you don't have to
No,
do
but
that.
it's an amazing
'Cause
true
that's what I
story.
would
And if
do.
you
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
heard
It's like,
about this story, no, it's an amazing story, and we in America don't really usually hear about the 303 Squadron, but everyone in Poland hears about it. I'm sure in England
Yes,
they hear
of
about it.
course.
But the
My
really
father was in the RAF.
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe you might not like this, but the
Yeah.
really bad part was that England, the RAF, didn't give them like asylum. Basically, they made them go back to Poland. So when they left and had to go back, a lot of them went into like death camps and were hung or tried or killed or all that stuff. So it's huge for Poland for this film to come out, and they're really, really stoked about it. So that's going to
Now
come
I
out
feel
in
bad.
September.
You see what happened
That's
there?
okay.
And I feel bad doing the.
Yeah.
That's okay. Iwan Rion is in it. He was the bastard in Game of Thrones, the
Yep.
creepy guy who
Yes.
snips him.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I got that coming out soon.
What a scene, huh?
Woo!
And what about you guys?
I've been writing a lot more. That's sort of where my interests
For
kinda lie
yourself,
now. Yeah.
primarily,
Yeah.
because you feel you need to?
Yeah, actually a little bit. You know, I grew up in television and I was on a show.
Yes, Eureka.
Yeah, Eureka for 7 years. I started when I was 13. And then I got older and I started auditioning again and I was like, there's not a lot of stuff for me because I'm just not that bubbly. I don't know what it is. I'm trying, but you know, so I was like, if I write my own I was weird. I was say I'm edgier. But I started writing my own parts and I just felt so much more fulfilled in what I was acting in. So I have written another and I'm going to continue to do that.
Fantastic.
It's pretty special.
And
Do you guys write? Do some of you write? Yeah. It's pretty special when you write because you put pen to paper and then you create this world and it's almost like playing God. You're like, Billy got hit by a bus. Oh no, I like Billy. Billy almost got hit by a bus.
Yep.
But then when you give it over to the producers and they make it and you go to the set and you watch all these, you create so many jobs for everybody because the whole crew is there because you put a thought to paper. It's such a wonderful gift to be able to write, and then she created opportunities for Milo and opportunity for me.
And if you don't write, I encourage you to,
Yeah.
because if you think you can't, you probably can. So just like start writing like a short story, like
Yeah.
do something. It's actually, even as an actor, yeah, when you start writing, I feel like you become a better actor.
Yeah.
Because you just like, you start to go through the process of what it's like to be a writer. So
I think you
do
start to
it.
open up those parts of your head that you
Yeah.
aren't opening up yet, and
Yeah.
that I think helps in every aspect of your life, whether or not you're actor or not. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who go to acting class just because they want to be able to get up in front of 10 people and speak, right? But I think a lot of people go just to be therapeutic.
Absolutely.
It's all storytelling. That's
Yes.
all it is.
Yeah.
So, as a
Super-
writer,
super
you
expensive
create
therapy.
the world of the story, and as a producer, you put people together to help you tell the story. And as a director, you know it's your job to tell that story visually.
Yep.
And as an actor, you tell your story through that character. So, for me, I love doing all of it because I
Do it
just
all.
I love
Yeah,
stories.
absolutely.
You know.
And you
so
are about to write your second.
Yeah, so I have a movie that I wrote that I'm directing in October. That one's more like a psychological thriller, like a Hitchcock thriller. And then, and acting-wise, I just did a movie with Lawrence Fishburne, Nick Cage, so that was super fun.
Yep. Yeah.
What else am I doing? I'm producing and writing a show for Crackle.
Fantastic.
And some other scripts. I'm
I have a
always
job?
writing.
That's
I was
it?
like last night, I was up till
What have you been
5:30 in the
doing?
morning. I'm not kidding. Like I was
That's
up till
this
5:30 in the
morning.
morning writing,
Jesus.
and then I was like, oh no, I have to be up at 6:30.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I was
no.
like,
If
should
you
I
guys
go to
stay
sleep?
here, there's another hour of Peter telling you what he's going to do.
Oh,
So-
no, there isn't.
I'm just kidding.
And on those notes, thank you very much, guys. The film is on VOD from August the 17th and in select theatres. Please tell everyone about it. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you
Congratulations.
guys for
Thank
coming
you guys.
out and
Thanks for coming.
watching.